Yeah, but, the important thing is that Shillery lost.
Yes.
The important thing is, but her emails.
But her emails, yeah.
Alright, I'm going to do the introduction now.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'll be able to cobble together some kind of...
We've got a cold open
some
there
kind of cold in. Yeah, out of the 12 minutes we've just been talking about nothing, I'm sure there's a cold open in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back up, chump, you know Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get with the hoods, fatigues, with the boots, with trees. Flipping trees, making crazy G's. Hitting buckshots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging. Pimping hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make them wet in they pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox, grip the clock. When I walk down the crowded block, just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out, blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Oh wait, what? Before we start, just a little bit of an aside. Have you seen the trailer for the new Tomb Raider?
No, I was going to, tell me about it.
It's a lot more serious. it's a lot more...
Oh no.
It's a lot, like, it's very, very different to this one. I'd suspect.
Is there like a kind of really melodramatic voiceover? Like, you were meant for great things. The evil is coming.
I don't specifically remember that, but there might have been. There's like that. There's like that siren in every trailer, like the wah.
Oh
thing.
yeah, the Inception noise.
Yeah, the Inception noise. That's it. It starts off with that, and like, she has to stop a genocide, a global genocide.
Oy vey.
Which is just a bit crazy. And Alicia Vikander, who plays Lara Croft, no longer wears those revealing shorts. She's got the full pants.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying feminazis ruined my video games?
Yes, exactly. Lara Croft has been 2018.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's worse than. Hey, speaking of 2018, did you hear that Stephen Hawking died?
Yeah, I did.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the film review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at the cinema and see if they still hold up upon a second viewing. And I just realised that I've got so used to saying relatively recently that I'm ignoring the fact that this film did not come out relatively recently at all.
Yes, this film is the oldest film we've reviewed.
Yes. In fact, well, I don't know, Luke, because when we originally did this, I mentioned doing a segment called Throwback Thursday, where if we reviewed a film that was particularly old, and I never worked out the threshold for it, but I feel like this would fall under it, then I would try and upload the video on Thursday and call it Throwback Thursday. I think the only problem is, like, if I've got enough time to edit it now, so I think I will do. This will be up on Thursday. And if I fail to get it up on Thursday, then that will be just a very embarrassing testament to my just on Friday. It's like, this will be up on Thursday because it's Throwback Thursday. Yeah. It just works well, isn't it?
It does.
Yeah. And yeah, sorry, but I don't think I actually mentioned what the film is. I think I just said this film's old. It is, of course, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. I don't think, does it say Lara Croft at the beginning?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider, and we're doing this, of course, to celebrate the release of the new Tomb Raider. Is it this Friday? I always forget.
Yes.
Like, it's usually this Friday, yeah. So, tomorrow, again, let's see if it's, and Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about this Tomb Raider?
Yes, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, also known simply as Tomb Raider, is a 2001 action-adventure film based on the Tomb Raider video game series, featuring Lara Croft, who, of course, in this movie is played by Angelina Jolie, directed by Simon West, also stars Jon Voight, Daniel Craig, and Ian Glenn. came out in the summer of 2001, June 15th, 2001 in the United States, July 6th, 2001 in the United Kingdom. And do you want to have a guess at the budget and the box office?
This film came out before 9/11.
Yeah,
That's
it
how
did.
old this film is. Okay. The box office, the budget. Okay. I'm gonna go for. See, the thing is, like, part of it is when I think about inflation. I'm gonna go for a $25 million budget. No, $35 million budget.
Wow.
No, $45 million budget.
Okay, so you're a long way off here, Michael. This is very poor. The budget is $115 million.
Wow.
I'm surprised you went that low because of the amount of sets that they probably had to build for this.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was still kind of living in CGI world where I just assumed everything would be completely fake. But yeah, actually, yeah, I guess. And also, I don't know. I mean, I'll just say, like, I don't think. Let's just say that quality is not. You're not getting value for money in terms of quality.
No.
If this film cost you 100. But okay, so I'm gonna go for box office. Let's see if I can redeem myself a bit. I have no idea about box office, to be honest. I'm going to go for what I think is a pretty middling result and go for 300 million.
You're pretty close, Michael. It's 274 million.
Good.
Yeah.
For that.
And so, obviously there was a sequel, so you'd assume it made back some of its money.
Yes, the sequel. And by the way, I will say we probably could have thrown in the sequel here just because, well, there's not that much to this film, but to be honest, I was feeling a bit lazy. Like, I was considering possibly seeing if we could go for looking at a sequel, but yeah,
the sequel,
feeling too lazy.
The sequel is better reviewed, but it didn't generate as much money at the box office.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's a rare example of a sequel being better than the original then.
Well, it'd be pretty impressive if it was worse.
Yes. The only thing I remember about... Have you seen the sequel?
I haven't, no.
Okay, the only thing I remember about the sequel is she sucks on Gerard Butler's tits.
Wait, what?
She sucks on Gerard Butler's tits. Not
the other way around?
No, she goes into like this... It's a very cliche... You've got to hook up with the bad guy, or you've got to kind of team up with the bad guy to fight the really bad guys. And she walks in on Jared Butler, and he's doing upside down push-ups. There's a grating on the top of his prison cell, and he's gripping onto the grating, and he's pulled himself up such that his feet are, pushed into the ceiling. And then he's basically doing pull-ups, but, like, upside-down pull-ups. No, not upside-down pull-ups. He's doing horizontal pull-ups.
Yeah, okay, I get what you mean, yeah.
Good for the delts. Anyway, and then what of course happens is she falls in love with him. They have a moment, and she genuinely, like, I don't know who this scene was for, but I assume it was for Angelina Jolie, because it's just this close-up on Gerard Butler's boobs, like his man boobs, his pecs, and she proper has a suck at his nipples. She just sucks at them, and it's the weirdest. I don't know why it happens.
Well,
I think that's our review of it's called The Cradle of Life. Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life.
I heard Angelina Jolie, they could have done a third Tomb Raider, but she didn't want to do it. And maybe that's why she didn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To be honest, I mean, where can you go from there? Once you've sucked Jared Butler's nipples, there's nothing else you can wish for.
That's the end of the road.
The other weird thing is, despite knowing why we were doing this film, when I originally, because I looked up this film, I think I was looking up the runtime, which I often do before I start watching these films. I looked up the runtime, and even though I knew exactly why we were reviewing this film, I was still surprised, like, oh, there's a new Tomb Raider coming out. But I don't know. It seems to have been one of those things where they've ramped up the marketing immediately before, because I keep seeing Tomb Raider on the side of buses, like bus stops and things like that.
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of commercials for Tomb Raider.
What are we doing now? Oh wait, sorry, I haven't even asked you. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but did you like this film, Luke?
No, I did not. This wasn't the first film. But before we start doing nitpicks, Michael, I think it's important to go over the history of the Tomb Raider game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really important, but I think we should do it anyway.
Have you ever played a Tomb Raider game? Have you ever played a Tomb Raider game?
No, I haven't.
I assume we're both not really gamers.
I play FIFA and COD.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of my thing. Like I have these set, like a few games that I will go to, which is COD. I also have Oblivion, which is the prequel to Skyrim, which I guess makes me kind of nerdy. But yeah, like I say, yeah. So, but I did have the Tomb Raider game because it was just like I had it on PlayStation 2. I had quite a few games on PlayStation 2, and I think that they just like appeared. I don't even know where they came from, but I was playing it, and I remember when I was playing it, my grandma, because old people they don't have a filter like we do, and she just walked in and she went, "That woman has exceptionally large breasts, doesn't she?"
Well, that is part of Lara Croft's character, I guess.
Yeah, her character.
She's got character.
Two great personalities on her.
Yes, exactly. So Tomb Raider, the game, sold over 63 million copies worldwide, and it was met with critical acclaim, and one of the best action-adventure games ever. And Lara Croft became one of the most recognizable video game protagonists ever as well. So it's a very significant game.
So what you're saying is this is a very empowering game for women.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna point out. The fact that this video game features a character who can be seen as an empowering woman, and also a negative role model. And I'm looking at Wikipedia here. This is their line: a negative role model due to her improbable proportions.
Yeah. This is what we call in the business a tit ninja.
Oh, really?
There's a video. I don't know who it's by actually. There's a video that's made by a kind of woke YouTuber, and it's called something like "It's actually very empowering to be a tit ninja," and it's ironic in its structure, in case you can tell. But it's kind of an interesting question. The question of, is it empowering because she's strong, or is it just a teenage male fantasy because she's a woman with massive boobs who just shoots things?
Yeah, that is the crux of the argument. In fact, I saw a bit of Twitter controversy, which, as you know, is quite rare. When this guy, I think he's a YouTuber, said that Alicia Vikander, who plays Lara Croft in the new Tomb Raider movie, shouldn't be allowed to play her, or is not a good fit because her breasts aren't big enough.
Who do you remember that name? Because
yeah, it was a guy called the Amazing Atheist. So I've heard. I assume you know who this guy is.
I know.
But I saw a bit of controversy on that. I clicked on it because obviously we were reviewing this movie, and I was like, oh, let's see what the controversy is about this. About Alicia Vikander not playing or shouldn't be allowed. Not playing Lara Croft, and there you go. So apparently it is quite an important part of her character.
Issue. You know what's actually really interesting about that? So a lot of people don't know this, mostly because I don't want to bring it up, because of course we can't be too political in here. I actually have another YouTube channel which I don't use anymore at all. It was just like a thing that I used to do, where I would argue with people. It was mostly video responses to other people. Anyway, the thing is, the initial reason I made it wasn't because I wanted to be YouTube famous or anything. Sobs over my 200 subscribers total. No, the original reason I made it was just because I saw all these stupid arguments, and I was like, I need to talk about how dumb these people are. So I thought, well, I'll just make a video, webcam, terrible quality, whatever, doesn't matter. And the first video I ever responded to was a video by the Amazing Atheist called Terrible Feminist Comics. And the basic argument the feminist comic was making was, so a woman says, the women in comics who have, massive boobs and, really long skinny legs and tiny waists set an unrealistic standard for women. And then this guy comes in and he says, but what about all the really buff, strong men in these films? Don't they set an unrealistic standard for men? And she says, basically, yeah, but the difference is that that's a male power fantasy. And pretty much my whole video was just explaining what a male power fantasy is. Like, the difference is that being physically strong is a objectively impressive attribute that will help you in real life. And there's nothing wrong with encouraging men or women to, go to the gym, get strong, try and, reach peak physical performance. And that's in contrast to having a tiny waist and massive boobs, which has no benefit at all apart from that it makes people like the Amazing Atheist horny.
Well, there you go.
Yes, so that's pretty much my stance on it, like I say.
Okay, before we get into the actual movie, I just want to bring up one more thing which I saw. Speaking of Lara Croft's her sexual appeal, and there's this part in the 1996 video game entry in Wikipedia that's called Nude Raider, and apparently there was an infamous footnote in Lara Croft's history, which was the Nude Raider patch. The patch, when added to the existing Tomb Raider game, caused Lara to appear naked. So yeah, maybe her being a negative role model, and her success being down to her proportions.
Yes, there has just a fraction of truth to it.
Yes.
And the thing is, in the 90s, I bet video game physics wasn't even that developed. So probably set unrealistic standards for physics when she's running around with no bra and her pixels are staying completely still. I wonder, that's a weird thing. I'm not a retro gamer, and I don't think I ever played any of the early ones. But it's kind of almost, hilarious that the male sex drive is so base that you don't even need sophisticated graphics. You can just have a handful of pixels with just big boobs. It's it makes more sense if it's like Angelina Jolie, because Angelina Jolie actually looks like a human being. But I think I've seen pictures of what Lara Croft looked like in the original Tomb Raiders, like the original Tomb Raider games, and she basically just looks like
Well, I've got a picture of her here, and you're right.
She looks like an Animal Crossing character.
Yeah, like something from The Sims. But yeah, basically just to sum up on the Tomb Raider video game, it was declared one of the best games, or one of the greatest video games ever made
by the Amazing Atheist.
Yes. Well, there you go. So it's very important culturally and a significant video game indeed, and that's of course what led to this $100 million movie being made about it. Yeah,
I guess it's probably around the same time that films like Resident Evil were made and things like that. And I feel like a lot of there was a bit of a surge in video game films in the early 2000s. Just
was The Mummy based off a video game?
Let's just say why not.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think there might have been some ancient Egyptian burial tradition somewhere, but mostly the video game.
No, you know what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know, yeah. The Egyptians got their idea from the video game.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, so now we can actually talk about the film. And we've got the challenging issue of nitpicks. When we did 50 Shades of Grey, we didn't do nitpicks because we decided the film was so awful that basically awful, that there was no point doing nitpicks. Now, this film is some dumb shit. but we are going to do nitpicks anyway, even though it seems superfluous. So, and you've got a lot more than me.
Yeah. And this movie is a fantasy movie, which means that nitpicks are obviously
more common.
More common than 50 Shades of Grey, which is a movie about a relationship, which you can't really nitpick too much.
So for the first time ever, well, maybe for the first time ever, you've got more than me.
Yeah, I got 15.
I think, because you were committed to it. And the worst thing is, I think that there's probably... In fact, actually, you know what? I said I had 5. I've only got 4. The thing is, I've got some nitpicks that I think might appear later on. Like what I could have classified as nitpicks. So my first one is completely kind of baseless, but she says who instead of whom. She says to see who.
Such a you nitpick.
Well, the thing is, actually, I was really far ahead. I've fallen slightly far behind with the films I haven't seen yet, but when we did La La Land, I mentioned how there was another grammatical error. And I think when we did the review on La La Land, I had already seen this for kind of my, technically it was a second viewing for me because I watched this film when I was like a little kid, but my first viewing in terms of actually evaluating it. And I noticed that grammar thing, and then I noticed it in La La Land, so that means that they're equally as bad, La La Land and Tomb Raider. And then my other ones, pretty much all of these are about the exact same scene, I just realised. It's the scene, I think it's the scene when they're in Cambodia, and they've got to... Mm-hmm. See, the weird thing is, even though I've watched this film like twice, quite recently, the plot just falls to mush in my mind. There's a thing where they have to trigger this thing, and they're given this certain amount of time to do it. It's like a minute to do it, and then Lara Croft and Ian Glenn are having this conversation, and she's basically, I think, convincing him to let her work with him. It sounds as weird as it is. Anyway, but the thing is, there's this timer, and it's taking so much longer, the conversation they're having, than the time that they say has left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of mine.
Yes. You're watching it. And then the other one, again, all about the same scene. Before that, she's trying to be stealthy, and she's talking to herself. And it's like, people talking to themselves is often criticized in films, and I think like sometimes people do talk to themselves. But like in a situation where you're trying not to be caught by people who will murder you, I think that staying quiet matters more than giving the audience exposition.
Well, here's the thing about I don't think do the people want to murder her? I mean, the thing is,
it is a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yeah. So in the Cambodian temple, the Illuminati guys. So Lara says, "Mr. Powell," like really loudly, and then all the Illuminati guys randomly start shooting at her.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why they do that.
It is, yes. I guess. I mean, it's kind of like people randomly shooting at the protagonist to create action in a situation where they shouldn't be shooting at the protagonist. It reminds me of one of the worst scenes in one of the best films. In Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus wants some information from Peter Parker, and he throws a car at Peter Parker to get his attention. And Peter Parker, being Spider-Man, is able to use his Spider-Man powers to escape from the car hitting him. But if he hadn't done that, then Dr. Octopus would have just killed the person that he needed alive. And then the other thing is she's carrying around this glowing thing with her, which is
a glow stick. Yeah.
Yeah. The stupid thing about that is that a torch directs light in a particular direction, which would be more useful if you're being stealthy. You can point the torch where you want to look. She's got something that creates an ambient light going in all directions. So even if she wants a light for some reason, use a torch.
Maybe there was a big glow stick thing in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, I remember glow. Yeah, I feel like things used to glow a lot more.
Yeah.
And then finally, again, the same thing. There's this, like a battering ram log thing that's got a little point on the end, and it's supposed to pierce this urn. So it's swinging back and forth. The weird thing is, it swings forward, and it doesn't hit the urn, and then it falls back, and they're all kind of looking at it, as if they're expecting it to pierce the urn. Now, I'm not some kind of physicist, but I think pretty much everyone knows one thing about pendulums, which is that if they fail to reach at maximum swing something at one point, then they're not going to succeed at reaching it the second time. Pendulums don't gain velocity. So I thought they were stupid idiots who clearly don't.
Or maybe they don't know that.
Well, I don't know. See, I think like everyone should know that. I mean, there's a, just look at.
I think that's too nitpicky.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call you out on that one.
You're gonna call me out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got any more?
No. So, how many of yours did we actually overlap on?
One.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
And it was the too long thing. They were talking too long.
Yeah. Actually, maybe the first one would be part of the plot, but I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. So the Illuminati are very keen on getting this triangle of light.
Yeah.
That's established. Yet they only have one guy on the job, Manfred Powell. They've got, I assume, a lot of money, a lot of resources, but it's down to one guy and his assistant, Mr. Pims, to work out where this triangle of light is, which will allow them to control time.
Yeah.
Then we have the fact that the Illuminati isn't very diverse. Only one woman, no black people. That's a mark against them.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig it does an American accent, and Angelina Jolie does a British accent. And we can talk about how well they did later on. But I guess it's not really a nitpick, but it's something that I just found funny.
Yeah, I think,
yeah. And I think also it would make more sense if the triangle, this triangle of light was broken into three pieces, because actually a triangle has three sides instead of two.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie wasn't that long, so I imagine they could add something else in.
Yeah.
Lara should burn her fingers when she takes the food out of the microwave. Somebody who has taken food out of the microwave before, immediately after, I can tell you, that there is no chance that she would be able to drop it and put it in the bin. No chance.
What? Okay, now I'm gonna see. I didn't know that down originally. What is it she's cooking in the microwave?
I don't know.
It's right at the beginning, isn't
microwave
it? It's
meal.
really early on. Yeah. Does she
Yeah,
burn it?
Well, the thing is, it goes bang in the microwave, doesn't it? The food.
Oh, yes, and it, okay, yeah. Yes,
yeah, and so it's really, really hot, and then she just picks it up and puts it in the bin.
Yes.
Like, her fingers would be burnt.
Yes, okay, yeah, I've got the image in my head now, yeah. She explodes. See, stupid women, they can't even cook.
Okay. I think that's the opposite thing, Michael.
Yeah.
The stereotype is they can cook.
Oh, yeah. So it's progressive.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's progressive. There you go.
Good.
Mr. Pims reminds me of Dylan, without the jaw. Just the way, his awkward vibe, and the fact that he's not in this movie like at all. He has like 2 lines. It's just very Dylan-esque. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think, I agree.
Yeah,
Mr.
okay, good.
Mr. Pims. It's a funny name. It doesn't sound like a very threatening name.
No. Mr. Pims. Lara doesn't pick up a gun when the Illuminati come to her mansion, and she instead resorts to, I don't know, what does she do? Just tie them up and start kicking them instead of picking up one of their guns and shooting at them? Just make things a hell of a lot easier. Well, that's part of the action scene, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
We'll get onto in a bit. Lara is unfazed by kids randomly appearing and disappearing right next to her, and knowing about her dead dad as well.
Yes.
She seems, she's a very stoic character, of course, but I think even that would.
That's in the snow. Yeah, is there any? That's in the snow. She goes to Siberia.
Yeah.
And there's that girl. See, the thing is, what happened is I kind of had a similar experience to you, because you started watching this film, taking nitpicks, and then there was a point when you gave up, and he just
Yes.
stopped. See, for me, I pretty much did the same thing, but I think it was about 40 minutes from the end when I just gave up, and then I had to watch it again to get those 40 minutes. And yeah, so I wasn't paying attention to pretty much anything when they were in Siberia. I was just like,
Yes.
what's happening? But yeah, there's a girl, and she says like, it's something like, you won't find your father, or you won't find peace from your father's death.
Yeah,
Is that
something like
ever
that, yeah.
is it ever resolved? Like, or ever explained why she said
No.
that? Okay, yes.
No.
I didn't.
Okay, so I thought it's a fantasy movie, it's a magical movie, but I was just surprised by Lara's reaction. She didn't seem to care at all. Like, this kid had just told her about her dead dad. And also the one in the Cambodian temple appearing and disappearing randomly.
Yeah.
Maybe she's seen it all before. I don't know. Okay, so the next one, when she's battling the boss, the stone monkey boss in the Cambodian temple,
Yeah.
she could just run away, but she doesn't. She's got nothing to gain from staying there and fighting the boss, but she does, I guess, because it's a video game movie, so she has to defeat the boss. That's the rule. Yes. Okay, this is one I thought you'd get, because this is a very unique
one.
pick.
Is it someone honking?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
No, it's when Lara is talking to Bryce on the phone, and she says, "Pack for Venice," and he says, "Where?" "Lara, where?" And she just hangs up. Now, imagine if Bryce genuinely hadn't heard.
Yeah. You know
Yeah,
what? I mean,
and then-
I think that was one of those things where yes.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, I have no idea where to go. I didn't hear."
Yeah, it's.
And yeah, Lara's being too cool for school.
I think
There,
a
she
lot
should-
of people on the phone are too cool for school. It's
Yeah,
just-
she should just say, "Oh, Venice.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get this wrong because this is pretty important. Venice."
Yeah,
I'm there.
it would be.
Yeah.
And the other question is like, if he did know where to go, why
Yeah.
did he say where?
Yes.
My only explanation is there's a deleted bit where she texts him. She hangs up to look cool, and then once she knows the camera's stopped running, the camera that's filming her in this
Yeah.
documentary, she texts him like, "Oh, by the way, Venice," and he goes. I was actually just about to say, was texting a thing in 2001? It was, wasn't it, Luke? Texting was a thing in 2001.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
Because the thing is, like,
Yeah.
phones are kind of new. Like those, those like phones that are like just bricks, like not Nokia. I'm talking about the phones that are like square and massive, and they've got an
Yeah.
antenna on them. And I feel like those phones were around into the early 90s.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Like then I doubt myself about. I mean, iPhones have only existed since 2007, Luke. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's
Madness.
crazy.
Anyway.
So Manfred Powell, when they're in the final scene in Siberia, decides to kill Alex West to try and motivate Lara to, fix the triangle of light, even though he knows Lara is already motivated to do that because she wants to bring back her dead father. So there's no real reason to kill Alex West. Like I said, she's already motivated. Again, that's another plot thing, but
Yeah.
I think it's just pretty pointless. So Lara, for some reason, races Powell to the triangle when they each touch it, but she wasn't touching the actual triangle when the light thing came on or whatever. So I don't know why just her and Powell are racing to it. Why aren't one of the henchmen who's next to them racing to it? So yeah, there you go. The next one. After everything that went down in the Siberian temple, the thing is, like, you've got these hitmen who have just murdered a bunch of Illuminati people. You got Bryce and Mr. Pims, who, their bosses have just had a massive fight, and obviously you can't easily get from the temple back to the Siberian village, and apparently they all just go home, nice and easily. There's no issues at all. They just all walk out of the temple and are like, well, that's the end of our day. They just all go back. And there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that everything? Are
One more.
you done with your nitpicks yet?
No.
Wow.
No. Look,
I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just, it's just puts into, and everything you've said has been pretty valid. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
And one last thing, Lara's dad says you can't change time. You can't bring me back. And then the very next scene, Lara goes and changes time by saving Alex West from dying.
I feel like my only explanation there is it's kind of like it feels more valid to change something that happened recently. Like, if I stubbed my...
Her dad doesn't say that, though.
Yeah, but if I stubbed my toe, I'd be like, oh, I better go back in time and stop myself from doing that. But if I wouldn't go back in time and kill Hitler, because I'd be like, nah, it would change too much. You know, because the thing is, like, I don't know, it's probably butterfly effect logic. They don't really explore the butterfly effect in this, but they should have. But yeah, I agree. No, yeah. See, you're like, that would be, that's my only defense of it, that maybe Lara Croft silently had that exact same thought process that I just had then. Well, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I guess so. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
And there you go, that's all the nitpicks. So,
so you were quite close.
Yeah, this movie's got a lot of issues, obviously, and those are just some of them.
Yes. It's got so many issues, you'd think it was a comic book movie. That's good.
Do you want to talk about the plot?
Yeah, well, first of all, I feel like anyone who maybe hasn't seen the film, or even anyone who has seen the film, it's kind of like the way we were talking about the nitpicks, you could just tell that the plot was dumb. Like, it's just like, well, when the Illuminati get the Triangle of Light, and then she's racing the bad guy to Cambodia, and then, like, you can just tell how dumb the plot is. So I think the first thing I want to address is the fact that the bad guys are the Illuminati.
The Illuminati, yes.
It's just so dumb. Like, see, I don't know, because obviously people nowadays, like, talk about the Illuminati. I feel like people don't talk about it as much anymore. Like, I remember everyone used to be like, oh, Jay-Z's Illuminati, Beyonce's
It seems
Illuminati.
like a very 2014 meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of a thing it was back before everyone was on the internet. I don't know if people really cared about it. Or if, I assume everyone, kind of like people recognized it and knew about it, but nowadays, I think if you made a film that was about the Illuminati, it would be kind of like, there are way more crazy conspiracy people nowadays, I feel. And they'd be like, what? It's the Illuminati? That's real.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean,
they think this movie's a documentary.
Do you know the actual history of the Illuminati?
No, I don't know the history of the Illuminati. Well,
the thing is that the Illuminati is this interesting movement because it was a secret society in 18th century Bavaria, which is in Germany, which I assume you know.
Yes, Southeast Germany. Yeah.
And it was established there, and it was basically kind of secular, liberal, elite secret society that wanted to promote secular, liberal, elite values. Which makes sense as a conspiracy theory if you are Rush Limbaugh, or Limbaugh, I do that every time, Rush Limbaugh, or Glenn Beck, or The Amazing Atheist.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah, if you're like someone who is actually anti-secular or anti-liberal, then it makes sense as a conspiracy theory. It doesn't make sense that they would be to have them be just an objectively evil force. I almost feel like it would be interesting if you just had a film that was just so political, like the Illuminati. They were like, we want to go back in time and make gay marriage legal.
We want to reverse the EU referendum decision.
Yeah, we want to reverse the referendum decision. And it's like Lara Croft's like, no, we've got to.
No, the will of the people.
Yeah, that would be.
Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah, it would be like Tim Farron and Nick Clegg are the bad guy. Tim Farron's pins. And they're like, we're going to go get the time machine. We're going to go back in time and have a second referendum. No!
George Soros. ahead of it all.
Yeah, but I actually, yeah, I mean, long story short, it just sounds dumb. Illuminati,
It is
the
dumb.
Illuminati.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I mean, they could have. I think it would just make more sense to just have a normal, like, make your own secret society movie. And also, I don't know. Okay, so maybe I missed this because I don't know. I feel like I maybe missed quite a bit of this somehow, even though I watched it twice. What is it exactly that they want to do with their ability to time travel?
Well, they want to be able to control time.
Yeah, but what? Why?
Because it's power.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just gonna say, like, it would have been interesting if they had, like, we want to go back in time and stop the French Revolution, or maybe that's too smart for this. So maybe it's like, we want to go back in time and help Hitler. Something, you know, like something that.
Stop 9/11.
Yeah, exists.
Even though this movie came out 6 months before 9/11.
Well, the thing is, the Illuminati already knew 9/11 was going to happen.
Ah, they did, didn't they?
So, but yeah, like, I don't know, it would be, because the problem is, it's one of those classic examples of, so there's this episode of The Simpsons, it's the one where they do all the Bible stories, and Goliath defeats David, and then David comes back and he kills Goliath, and he's like, I've killed Goliath, and everyone's like, but Goliath was the best ruler we ever had. He gave us schools, and it's kind of like, there's this idea of, a lot of the time, you're just kind of told the bad guys are bad, and like, for all we know, they were just going to use this ability to stop time. The argument is they can't have power, but it's like, hold on a minute, it doesn't tell you what they're going to do with that power. So it's kind of,
we know Manfred Powell's a bad guy.
yeah, but the thing is, Manfred Powell,
go.
He's not even that associated with the Illuminati. He betrays
he's
them.
an Illuminati member.
Yeah, I know, but he betrays them at the end. Like, maybe they all kind of didn't like him. Maybe it's sort of like the Separatists and the Emperor. Like, the Separatists, they just want to leave the Galactic Republic.
Fair enough. So yes, we've established the Illuminati is dumb,
Yes.
as you said. But I think we need to just go through the plot
Yes.
a bit. So obviously the plot is quite simple. You got to get one thing to get the next
MacGuffin.
thing. Stop the bad guys getting the thing. And I think that's obviously the problem with these video game movies. In a video game, you have an objective which you strive to get in the campaign. And obviously, if you're making a movie adaptation of that video game, it has to follow the same lines. It can't be anything else.
Yeah.
That you have to achieve this objective, and because that's what the whole video game is about.
Yeah, but there are films that start off with a very similar premise that work, which is worth noting. For example, there's, The Mummy, the original Mummy, not the Tom Cruise one, is a pretty good film. I mean, it's not the best film ever made, but it holds up. And for example, a really good example of just a great film is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. That pretty much has, what have they got to do? Oh, they've got to get the pirate gold. And the pirate gold has this curse. And it's kind of one of those things where, it's a plot that very easily could be in service of a stupid movie. It's like, oh, you've got to go get the gold to stop the curse. Like, that's, a very almost video game-esque
okay,
premise.
but with Pirates of the Caribbean, you've got a lot of different characters.
Yes, exactly. So that's the thing. This film didn't necessarily, because the thing is, I like the idea of this kind of film. Like, I like the idea of a film that is simple and easy to understand. This film just didn't do that. It was,
no.
Yes. It was a simple premise that they stretched to absurd. I just realised I left some chips in the oven. I just made them as a nice, I didn't make that many, but they burnt. I made like about a handful of chips, because are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I made like a handful of chips to, just to kind of enjoy, just casually, while I was listening to you talk, so you could get the sounds of me eating. Because we had some chips to use up, and they burnt, which I'm very disappointed about, but, whatever.
No, sorry about that, Michael.
It's fine. It was my fault for leaving them in 40 minutes longer than they were supposed to be in. Possibly my fault for that.
Yeah, maybe it's your fault. So yeah, I'm just going to go through the bare bones of the plot.
Bare bones.
The bare bones of the plot. So, obviously the plot kicks off with the ticking clock, which reveals to Lara that she's found this key, the all-seeing eye on it, and obviously she takes it to the friend, or the friend of her dad, who betrays Lara and tells the Illuminati about the fact that Lara has this key, and obviously after that they take the key, they go to Cambodia. Lara gets a letter from her dad telling her all about the key and the Triangle of Light. She goes to Cambodia, then they meet up in Venice again, then they go to Siberia, then the movie ends. With Lara destroying the Triangle of Light when she realizes she can't bring her dad back from the dead.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. I mean, there's not much. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's a simple film that, well, it's an in theory simple premise of you've got to get the thing, but the execution definitely fell ever so slightly short of what we might have hoped for.
Well, there's one major flaw in the plot, Michael. There's one major flaw, and before I watched this video, I actually watched the CinemaSins version of Lara Croft Tomb Raider, because it was released yesterday. I didn't actually include any. I think I included one nitpick from them in my nitpicks. All the others were just from me watching the movie. But when watching the CinemaSins video, I was very shocked that he didn't mention the major flaw in the plot of this movie, which of course is that. Okay, so I'm first going to start off with the letter. Remember the letter that her dad delivers to her?
Is that the one where she's like a little kid and there's a flashback?
No, you know the UPS guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, delivers her the letter, and then she goes and looks at a book, and there's this letter that her dad wrote to her.
Yes.
After he died, or in case he died. And so, first things first, you see this letter, and it's got, obviously, a lot of writing on it. And I was like, oh my god, they're gonna have him read all this out, aren't they? It's gonna be like a solid 2-minute exposition dump. And that's what it was.
Yeah, there was a lot of exposition dumps in this.
Yeah.
Which I wrote down.
But that in particular, just 2 solid minutes of her dad telling her all about the Triangle of Light and the key and all that. But the major flaw with the plot is that the father, obviously, he's meant to be this genius, right? You would agree with that?
Yeah.
Watching the movie. He gives Lara 1 week to prepare to find these 2 pieces.
Yeah.
So why not give her like a year? The dad doesn't want the Illuminati to get the triangle, and he wants Lara obviously to destroy the 2 pieces. But why not just destroy the key? Because without the key you can't get the pieces.
Yeah. Well, good point. Yeah, it's.
I'm just saying, like, this is what I noticed straight away. It's like, okay, so why didn't he just destroy the key?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Lara just why didn't he tell Lara just to destroy the key?
Well, maybe because then the film would become Lord of the Rings. Because they'd have to go to the volcano in the middle of Mordor to throw the key.
I'm saying that is a major plot flaw, because of course it's established you can't get the 2 pieces without the key, and it's once every 5,000 years, etc. So just literally destroy the key, then you're done, and you don't have to worry about any of them. Then why does she need to go to Cambodia and Siberia to get the 2 pieces and then destroy them?
Because movie.
Yes, because movie. Yeah, I mean,
yes, I agree.
Obviously this is a video game movie, and I don't know. I just think if I was writing this, I wouldn't have created such a glaring flaw
Yeah.
in the plot.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So also the only reason why the Illuminati had a chance of getting the Triangle of Light was because they got the key, and they got the key because the clock set off. So basically the only reason why the Illuminati had a chance of getting the Triangle of Light was because of Lara Croft's dad.
Yes.
So yeah,
it's a classic.
Again,
it's like how it's only when the superhero appears that the supervillains start appearing. You know, if there's before Spider-Man, there wasn't a Green Goblin or a Doctor Octopus. Before Batman, there wasn't a Joker. And then suddenly it's like the person who comes along. It's like, oh, they've come along just as the problem is appearing. But then you realise, wait a minute, the only reason they're here is because of the problem they've created. So,
yeah. So if Lara Croft's dad just didn't set the clock off, then obviously Lara doesn't find the key. She doesn't show the Illuminati that she has the key. The Illuminati don't find the key, and they have to wait another 5,000 years.
Yeah, 5,000 years is a long time away.
Yeah, a lot could happen in 5,000
Also,
years.
that means I guess that means the Illuminati has existed for 5,000 years, or is that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it would mean. The point is, Michael, her father really fucked it here.
Yes.
In two instances, he could have just let things, be. Didn't have to tell Lara about the key at all, or he could have destroyed the key, and then we'd all be okay. There wouldn't be a risk of the world ending.
Yeah, and at best, he could have just, if he needed to tell her anything. Let's imagine for some reason they couldn't destroy the key. I don't know why they wouldn't be able to, but let's imagine they couldn't. He could have just told her to protect it and not tell anyone about it. That would have been a very useful thing to tell her. To say, just to protect it and don't tell anyone you have it. Put it somewhere safe, and if anyone tries to take it, shoot them in bungee jumps.
But the plot could have started out with Manfred Powell getting a lead onto the whereabouts of the key, and so Lara then obviously sees this mysterious guy roll up in a black SUV, and her immediate instincts are, oh my god, this guy's coming for the key. And, they have a cordial meeting, and maybe Manfred Powell shows her a picture of the key, or a drawing of the key, and she's like, no, never seen it before.
Yeah.
And then she, after he leaves, she takes off, runs away, because she doesn't want the key to be found, and then he comes after her, and they get into all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that would make a lot more sense.
You could have a good film. I mean, it would be interesting to see what the new Tomb Raider is like. Whether number one. I mean, the thing is, because this film obviously, it's a lot like The Mummy as a film, and it's a lot like, I think Indiana Jones is obviously the obvious comparison. Indiana Jones, he's an architect.
Yeah.
And he's like an architect who has adventures because he ends up finding these mystical objects. In fact, I should have mentioned Indiana Jones when I was talking about good examples of this type of film. Basically, I mean, I think the criticism there would be, hold on a minute, well, now it's just like Indiana Jones, but you could have had this film be kind of like Indiana Jones meets Resident Evil, or, so you've got the Indiana Jones aspect of go to this place, there's this ancient artifact, find it because you're a tomb raider, you raid people's tombs, and then also do some Matrix style action while you're there. And
there you go. Yes. We've got ourselves a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be the best film ever made. It just has to be. Yeah, it comes down to there's so many times you think all this film had to be was good. And it wasn't even that hard for it to be good.
No. Yeah, it fucked up. Actually, do you want to talk about the action?
I was thinking, I was realising that was quite a good segue. I've got the most written about the action, to be honest.
Okay. Alright, go on. Tell us what you thought of the action scenes.
Well, first of all, I guess the main action scene, well, one of the action scenes that happens quite early on is a scene where she's doing this bungee jumping, and she's doing this test which she needs to do for some reason, which is she's jumping up and down and doing flips in her mansion that she lives in. And then these bad guys show up with guns, and she starts shooting them while bouncing around on a bungee jump, on bungee cords.
And she doesn't shoot them.
Oh wait, she doesn't shoot them, does she? She just punches.
Yeah, that was one of my
Yeah,
nitpicks.
sorry, yeah, you're right.
She doesn't shoot them.
Yeah. And I wrote down that I think this was a thing in the early 2000s of complicating action. Like you can't just have like someone shoot people for some reason. She can't just shoot people. She has to do this, be in this completely absurd scenario where, you know, she's doing this bungee jumping stuff and then she has to fight them while bungee jumping. And it's just like, it would have been so much more reasonable just to have, she's got guns, they've got guns, she hides behind this thing, shoots them, maybe she slides down a banister. You don't have to have her doing quadruple flips as she shoots them.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Also, what was ridiculous was the bad Illuminati guys. They might be the worst shots in film history.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of resources to apparently buy millions of, or not millions, but buy hundreds of mercenaries to fight, but they're not very good. That's something else that kind of annoys me about films when you think, like, when the hero survives, but they're not necessarily even doing anything that impressive. Like, there's a lot of films where, this happens in Resident Evil a lot too, they're being shot at, and the way they escape is just by running in a direction, and fortunately not getting shot. Like, there's no skill to it. And that's kind of like, well, you know, if one of them would have just been a bit more lucky or a bit more skilled in terms of where they were aiming, you know, there's nothing impressive about running towards someone, shooting at you when they're bad at shooting. It would be more impressive if you saw her actually, you know, ducking and weaving. So yes, I agree.
Well, the thing is, you've got like 10 people shooting at her, and not one even grazes her pajamas.
Yes.
Like she looks like exactly the same as she did before the fight.
I think she looked kind of bored. Like, for a lot of, I was thinking about it, and when I wrote down that she just looked bored during some of the action scenes. But the other thing is,
she's very stoic.
I think one of the things I want to talk about, because this happens a lot in action, especially in action scenes where the actors can't fight, is they cut on every single punch and every single movement. So it's like, she jumps, they cut the camera, and then she fires a gun, they cut the camera, she lands, they cut, and like every single thing, every single like step she takes, they're cutting it. And number one, it just looks awful, because it looks completely incomprehensible.
You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like if you just had, I mean, because I was thinking about Kingsman, because a common criticism is that when you hire people who aren't professional fighters to star in fight scenes, then you're gonna have to use camera trickery and all this stuff to make it look like they're a good fighter, and it makes the film look worse. But I assume Colin Firth is not a black belt. Like, I don't know, but I assume he's probably not actually a trained kung fu fighter. But because of the choreography, and also I guess because of the effort of the actor and the camera work, they produced one of the best action scenes of all time. And it's with someone who probably is not, you know, because for example, Jackie Chan is a really good, you know, fighter and stuntman, and probably not the world's best actor. But
Jason Statham as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people who are very skilled at fighting, but not great actors. But with Colin Firth's performance in Kingsman, you have someone who is obviously a good actor and probably not, you know, a fantastic fighter, but they were able to make it look like he was fighting well. And in this, it just looks like somebody, you know, you can just imagine Angelina Jolie not really knowing what she's doing, not really having been told what to do and just being told, okay, now punch them, cut, okay, that's good. Now we'll get a different angle and throw him over there. And that's why I imagine she looks quite bored, because she's just like, she's been shooting that action scene for the last 2 days.
Remember when she was breaking the clock at the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
And there's like 4 cuts of the clock being hit by her.
Yeah.
And I'm watching her use the hammer to hit the clock, and she's doing it very weird. She's like, it's like she's never held a hammer before. It's you are correct in your assessment of these movie action scenes when it comes to the fighting, not very interesting.
Yeah.
And poorly done.
Oh, also I have something that this definitely could have come under as a nitpick, but it was in the action. It's something that annoys me. When you point a gun at someone and they point a gun at you, I would think, I mean, maybe I'm just wrong here, but I would think just pull the trigger immediately. Because they're pointing a gun at you. Like, what are they? I mean, like, obviously there's a chance that they could, have a spasm and pull the trigger. But, like, at the end of the day, I would just think, okay, the minute I realised what was happening, I'd be like, okay, I've got a gun pointed at them, they have a gun pointed at me. Bang! I wouldn't think, oh no. I wouldn't, like, have a conversation with them and be like, oh, well, you've got your gun pointed at me. Because I don't think anyone has such fast reflexes that, like, we're not Han Solo. We can't shoot Greedo the second he shot us. But yeah, so
like if you just shoot him, he's dead.
Exactly.
Like that.
And then there's another scene where there's these shards of ice. I think there's an explosion or something, and this shards of ice fly everywhere, and that should be lethal. Like, shards of ice flying would, and I'm pretty sure, like, again, it's an issue where no one even gets scratched. Angelina
Jolie's face and clothes remain perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Not a scratch.
And then I've got loads of pet peeves about action. There's another scene where the scene you mentioned where she's fighting the monkey with like 6 arms.
Yes.
It's actually really reminiscent of a scene in The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, which was a 1950s film.
Okay, no.
Where
don't talk about it. No,
come on. They fight the Hindu god. You know, the Hindu god with lots of arms.
What?
Vishnu.
Ganesha.
I don't know. Yeah, one with lots of arms. They fight that anyway. But
I think a lot of them have got a lot of arms.
Yes. The
Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva. Don't you shiver? So the thing that annoys me is this: they've got 6 arms, and she takes out one arm quite easily. Then she takes out, I think I'm right in remembering this. I hope and it's like she's slowly like working her way through each arm, fighting this giant multi-armed monster. And it's like, hold on a minute, why can't she just, well, first of all, why doesn't she run away? But second of all, just keep your distance and shoot it, really. Like, you don't even need to run away, it's something that has a limited range. And rather than just taking on this thing that's got like 1 billion arms, and how do you even handle that? And yeah, I mean, it's dumb and it's spectacle.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
What else is dumb about these action scenes? I think is the music over the top of them.
Oh, there's actually a song in this that I recognised, which is crazy.
Well, I recognise the song right at the end.
What's the song right at the end?
Where Where's Your Head At?
Oh, goodness. Oh, I forgot that was in this film.
Yeah. Where's your head at? As the butler hands her 2 guns when the robots come to attack her. Right at the end. And then it flashes up, directed by Simon West.
Yes.
Immediately when that flashed, I thought, well, that's the last movie you're directing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe he's directed more. But yeah, the music over the top of the action scenes. You got these awful, like, early 2000s, like, dance tracks. Over these stupid action scenes. And I just want to say, Michael, I think we've come so far in regards to action scenes, with the music on top and the fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's action scenes have not aged well at all.
Yes.
The early 2000s, I think, aren't a good era for action movies in general.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why. I feel like maybe The Matrix is responsible. Because, I mean, The Matrix is obviously good. But I feel like The Matrix was when everyone was like, oh, we've got to do something crazy in our action. And then that started everything off.
It's got to be wild.
But yeah, I think the weird thing is the person who wrote the original score for this is actually the singer of a quite accredited band. You probably don't know the band. They're called 9 Inch Nails. They make they sound like they'd be kind of rocky and emo-y. They're more what's called industrial. They do kind of like, I mean, this wouldn't surprise me. They do kind of like bassy, thuddy music, like boom, done. Anyway, one of their songs in this is actually a song that I'm quite fond of, which is called Deep. You don't hear any of the lyrics, but it's the song you probably okay. So I'll remind you of the scene and see if you remember the music. It's when they're about to get on the helicopter to go to Siberia, and they play music it's like do 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 do, and that's the music, and I immediately recognized it. I was like, hey, I know that song. And I looked up, and it turned out that song that I was thinking of was actually written for this film, and it's part of
Oh my god, that's even worse.
I know, it's weird because it's not a bad song, but maybe I'll do that thing where I play it at the end. Well, actually, you know what? One time I did actually put a song on here once, and it got a copyright strike. And I was like, how can I get a copy? So I think maybe I should just not put music on it. I mean, like, I didn't. Our theme song, I think, is fine because that's just stolen from some guy who has like. Our theme song has like 200 views. Like on YouTube. What I did when I found our theme song, I think I just typed in like hip hop and then looked for videos that were under a minute and had like under 1,000 views. And I was like, well, good, no one can copy it. Good luck, that guy, copyright claiming this.
The old Donald Trump tactic, go after the small guy who can't fight back.
So yeah, whereas the time when I got a copyright strike, it was from like Billionaire Records. And I was like, okay, well, I don't use these Billionaire songs anymore.
Well, talking of music over action scenes one more time, remember at the end where Lara Croft is on the dog sled?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's dog sledding along to funky music. just laughing, cackling as she races through the tunnel. No. Yeah, I think that scene right there, it had me laughing. So that was funny.
That made me. Oh dear. It was like in Indiana Jones when they're driving through the mines.
Yes. Exactly like that. Good homage.
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
They had a homage to Indiana Jones and The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, the 1950s action-adventure film starring some white guy as Sinbad.
Yes.
Now, I think the only thing I've got left to talk about. Oh, one thing I did want to say about the action, just as a final point, that the bit when they're trying to climb up the orb. This is towards the end, and there are these arms spinning around that kind of like knock them over. It's like a fairground ride because there's like they had there's like it's like you got to stand still and there's these arms spinning around, and it got me thinking about. Have you seen Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation?
No, but I do want to see that.
Okay, well,
I haven't
it's
yet.
a pretty okay film. There are criticisms of it. Anyway, well, all I'm going to say is a very similar scene in that when they're in they're underwater and there's this kind of turbine and the thing's spinning around, but when they're avoiding it, it's because it's moving really fast. In this, it's kind of like they're climbing up this thing and they've got these arms slowly moving towards them to like knock them over, and they're like, "Oh no!"
I was thinking, how slow are the people who fall into the water's reactions?
I know, yeah.
They're just knocked off. Like you've got like a couple of seconds to realise what's going to happen here.
It is. It's very kind of just like not action. It's like you could tell that they didn't care when they were directing that action scene. They were like, All right, are we
Yeah.
going to try and make it look fast and actually be inventive with how we shoot it, or are we just going to have it so it's moving really slowly and the stunt people can just go, whoa, oh, it got me,
Yeah.
ah. So yes,
Yeah.
but
There was a lack of effort put into these action scenes.
But apart from that, the only thing I wanted to talk about, apart from the other thing, is the characters. You had your
Yes.
3 central characters.
Yeah. So the 3 characters with any significance are Lara Croft, Alex West, and Manfred Powell. Sorry we're not mentioning Bryce or the butler. But yeah. We'll start off with Angelina Jolie / Lara Croft. You know what? She reminded me of Bruce Wayne. Obviously, there's comparisons to Indiana Jones. But I don't know. Did she remind you of Bruce Wayne? Living in a mansion, having like a butler, you know, going on these missions.
Yeah, sort of. I think Bruce Wayne is an apt comparison. And also I guess there's kind of the element of like the self-funded gadgets that she has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought from Angelina Jolie's perspective, it was a good performance from her. The first line of dialogue she utters, obviously she's American and she's doing a British accent. The first line of dialogue she utters sounds Russian, and then she goes too posh, but then she gets better. So and by the end, it sounds very good. So props to her for nailing the accent, even if it did take her a bit of time to do so.
Yeah. She worked out while they were shooting.
Yeah. And overall, thing with this Lara Croft character is, and I think it's a bit underestimated here. Is she the good guy or the good girl? Because think about it, she could potentially end the world because she just wants to bring her dad back from the dead. Now that strikes me as pretty selfish, you know, trying to, or potentially putting the world at risk because of your daddy issues.
Yeah. You know, she's a rich girl with daddy issues. Of course she's going to be selfish. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, she's not a very interesting character in a way. For example, like, Iron Man is an interesting character because he's a rich billionaire who does all this stuff, but he's kind of like an arsehole in that he's, you know, like, really cocky and, you know, an arsehole. And Bruce Wayne is an interesting character because he's really rich and he does all this stuff, and he's kind of like really secluded and you know, mopey and all that stuff. And this character, she just exists. I don't really know if she's got any hobbies, what she does when she's not saving the world, if she just, yeah, it just seems like she kind of just sits around doing nothing until the plot finds her.
Yeah, I was thinking that. What does she do all day?
She fights robots for some reason.
Yeah, in this mansion, she just fights robots. Like, what will she be doing today, Michael?
I don't know. I mean, because the thing is, like, I guess one of the other things is she's clearly training to be an action hero with, you know, because she's fighting these robots and, you know, she's training to fight things.
Yeah.
But presumably her job is she's a Tomb Raider. Like, that's her thing she does. She goes to these tombs and stuff like that. And I want to know, how often does that job actually result in crazy, you know, like, giant robots shooting at you? Because I would think that would be a rarity. I would think most of the time that you go into a tomb, it's just dead people. But apparently she needs to be, you know.
You need to be highly trained, like you say, action hero.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing about Indiana Jones is, like, he kind of just gets through it, and that's what makes him interesting. Like, he clearly, I mean, obviously he's skilled, he's got his wit thing, but he's not a complete action hero. There's an element of just, I've got to do this thing. And yet, I guess the thing is with this film, I never really felt like Lara Croft was in over her head. It always kind of seemed like she was just like, oh, she can handle this. There's never a moment where you really feel like she's going to lose.
No, yeah. That's a good point.
And Do you want to move on to your Daniel Craig, James Bond?
Yeah, Daniel Craig, who plays Alex West. Obviously, he's doing an American accent, which to me seemed very unnatural. Maybe it's just because, like you said, he's been James Bond for like 10 years now. Or actually, it'd be 12 years. He's played James Bond, and obviously James Bond, very British character. So him doing an American accent just sounded very weird. Sounded so strange. I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, it was. I definitely immediately thought of James Bond because I'm one of those people who didn't really know much about Daniel Craig wasn't on my radar until he appeared in James Bond. So whenever I see him in something before, it's kind of whenever I see anyone in their role before their famous role, I just kind of think like, oh, it's that person. It's James Bond. It's whatever. It did seem unnatural.
Can you tell me his motivation, Michael? What's his motivation?
No,
I mean the answer's pretty obvious.
His motivation is to get paid.
Yes, money. I only ask this as when Pims or / Dylan and Manfred Powell are talking about Lara as they're about to enter the Cambodian temple. He just butts in and says, "Oh, she's overrated. She's in it for the glory. I'm in it for the money." One, it was completely irrelevant to what they were talking about, and two, it's very on the nose. It reminded me of some Tommy Wiseau dialogue.
Yeah.
Just the character uttering, "I'm in it for the money," out of nowhere.
Yes, it's him very much explaining his character. It kind of reminds me of Vince Vaughn's line in Jurassic Park: The Lost World, when he says, "Hammond's check cleared, or else I wouldn't be going on this wild goose chase." And then Ian Malcolm says, "Where you're going is the only place on Earth where the geese chase you." And then it goes, "Wop, wop, wop, wop." And there's a laugh track. Would you say it reminded you of that, Luke?
Yeah, I think it reminds me of that.
When Angelina Jolie was doing the bungee jumping, did that remind you of the scene where the girl kicks the velociraptor out the window?
Yes. Oh, God.
Yes.
Don't put gymnastics in your action movie. There you go. Tip 1.
It's a pretty good rule.
Yeah. So, but the thing is about this Alex West character, I don't get why he feels guilty for being in it for the money, and why Lara makes him feel guilty for being in it for the money. I mean, it's his job.
Yeah.
That's what he's got to do to make a living, to put food on the table. He's got to go out there and be a Tomb Raider. Now, if Lara was berating me, if I was Alex West for being in it for the money, I'd be pretty pissed off.
It's really easy. It's really easy for her to berate people for being in it for the money because she's a millionaire.
Not everyone can live in a mansion, Lara, and pick and choose when they go to work. I got to pay my rent.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got. No, everyone can be born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Yeah. Lady Croft.
Frickin' Lara.
That would have been a good bit of dialogue, actually.
Yeah, exactly. We should remake Tomb Raider. That seems like a good idea.
We should remake the remake of Tomb Raider.
Yeah, we should remake the remake. We should reboot the remake.
Exactly. And also his character.
Bigger boobs.
Yes, bigger boobs. We need to make sure that Alicia Vikander, if she is to do a sequel, gets a boob job. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That'll be necessary.
Good job.
The character arc as well for Alex West doesn't really make a lot of sense. When Manfred Powell doesn't get the Triangle of Light to work, you remember at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, "Not quite what you hoped for, Mr. Powell," taunting this guy who's just paid him a lot of money, for no reason at all. I don't get why he's suddenly a good guy. Maybe Lara Croft looking at his dick changed his mind.
Yeah, well, it would change my mind.
Yes. Maybe it made him realise that you shouldn't be in it for the money. You shouldn't work for these evil people.
You should be in for the girls looking at your dick.
Yeah, exactly. And you got anything else to say about Alex West?
No, actually.
No. Well, there you go. That is Alex West, and now on to Powell Manfred, the villain, played by what's he called? Ian Glenn. Complete stereotype. He's got a very villainy name, villainy looks. He does weird villain things.
And he's British.
Yes, and he's
Evil.
British. Yes, very evil. The way he lays on the the bed / couch,
Evil.
with
lying.
baskets of with baskets of fruit around him, while the workers bring down the door to the temple. Classic villain stuff.
He is.
And then And then when he's getting the massage, he can't just take Lara's phone call. He needs to be getting a massage. And when he drops the call, he says harder in a very evil, villainy way.
Yeah.
To the masseuse.
It's good in Game of Thrones, though.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe this got him the Game of Thrones part.
Yeah.
Maybe the producers saw his performance as a fantastic villain. We're like, we need that guy.
Yeah, we need him. Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things actually I just realised I wanted to talk about with this film. I don't know why I put it here. I put it under characters, but there's a scene in this where Lara Croft gets naked for no real reason.
Brilliant time to bring it up.
You don't see the front of her, but you see like her get naked. And I was thinking to myself, this film is like really like sexual, but in a little kid way. Like it's sexual in like and I should have put this under the fact that it's a video game and a teenage boy fantasy, because it's like there's no reason why it happens. It just happens for no reason, and it's not even that.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching, I was like, okay, but yeah.
The thing is that the actual character of Lara Croft in the video game, as we mentioned before, is sexualized. She's meant to be attractive, so obviously
had a bit of nude
like
raider going on.
Yeah, a bit of nude raider. Maybe that was a homage to.
Well,
Nude
that should be
Raider.
the name of our remake, Nude Raider.
Nude Raider. Oh god. One more thing on Powell Manfred. Manfred Powell.
Yeah.
Got his name in all. Actually, I think Powell Manfred sounds better.
Powell Manfred. Yeah, that would be the name of our character in our reboot.
Powell Manfred. He's very lucky that the key falls into the palm of his hand 1 week before the eclipse.
Yeah, he's
when
he basically
no
just
idea
sits
where it
around
was.
doing. Yeah, he's pretty lazy, and then it just happens to work out for him. I mean, well, not ultimately, but the first half of the film works out.
He gets very lucky.
Yeah,
He's Manfred Powell. Yeah, that's all I had to say about the characters. I don't know if I have to say anything more.
No, I mean I want to talk about something which is related to the characters, which is the
okay, go on.
the Britishness of this film is what I wanted to move on to.
Yes, let's talk about
because first of all, I mean we are both British, and
are we?
Yes, and I assume we're not British, we're English. I don't know. I feel like some people care about that.
No.
But obviously there's this film. Pretty much everyone in it's British apart from the one British actor. And
yes.
I assume this film was probably largely made by Americans, for Americans.
Well, one of the production companies are actually BBC Films.
Oh, okay. So, but this film, it kind of feels like it's almost making being British too much of a thing. In a really, like, for example, the first line of the guy who's like the tech nerd is he's like, bugger. And they say bugger about 50 times during this entire film.
Oh, bugger.
And it's like, yeah, that's like, it's like oh, we're British, bugger. Also, the butler is played by an actor from Red Dwarf. There's a fact. Who plays a really posh, uppity person in Red Dwarf, so it works. But
oh, do you know what the butler's called, actually?
In the film, Jeeves.
No. Hillary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is called Hillary.
Hillary, that's a girl's name.
Yeah. Implying Hillary isn't a lizard.
Yes. There you go.
And yeah, the thing is, I found what I wrote down in my notes was, I find the overly British accents so foreign that I struggle to identify them as British, because it's something I notice in films. Like, obviously, I mean, I suppose I sound more like the people in this film than you do. But
What are you saying?
well, what are you saying? What are you saying about me?
What the fuck are you saying, pal?
See, the funny you don't. I like listening to people who have a slight accent go more towards the accent. Like if I went, "Hello there, my name's Michael." But yeah, I mean, like I love kind of like fish and chips, governor. All right there. And
that's Cockney. There wasn't any Cockneys.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's like,
Americans seem to think there's two types of British people. You got the really posh people,
and the Cockneys.
obviously taught like Lara Croft, and then you got the Cockneys.
Yeah.
Either one or the other.
Excuse me, Lara Croft, can I have a bit of food for the orphanage? I'm out collecting. Go away, child.
I've got to solve this mystery puzzle.
Yes, I said, jolly good show. Let's go deal with that tomb over there. Yes.
Hillary, get this piece of filth away from me.
British people.
That's
yeah,
so funny.
And I feel like it's become less of a thing recently. I almost feel like the cultural exchange wasn't quite complete in the early 2000s.
No,
like
you're right. Yeah, go on.
Like we knew Americans. Like at that point, we had got Americans, but I don't think Americans had got us yet.
No, I think the internet has bridged some of the divide between America and the United Kingdom.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Like I don't think people would make this film showing British people like the American like, hey, they're British. They said bugger.
They all live in mansions and have butlers.
Exactly. Like it's such a hilarious stereotype.
Well, in the new Tomb Raider movie, having watched the trailer, Alicia Vikander is actually living in the East End of London, not in a mansion, and she doesn't have a butler, which is interesting.
And she's a Muslim.
And what?
And she's a Muslim.
And she's a Muslim. Oh my god.
Well, that's the thing. Like the funny thing is, we've now moved from Americans thinking we're all posh white Anglo-Saxon Protestants to thinking we're a bunch of degenerate Muslims living in slums.
Well, they think that about all of Europe, but not just England.
Yeah, that's true. Good. Well, wonderful. And apart from that, I think that's everything I had to say.
Yeah, that's everything I had to say as well. We'll wrap up then.
Yeah. So, do you want to give it a rating first?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll sum up Lara Croft Tomb Raider then. As we've established, it's not a good movie. I don't know which is actually worse, to be honest, the plot or the action scenes. And I think that if there's one thing you should be able to count on with a movie like this, it's the action scenes. But as we've discussed, that they are awful. You got a standard villain, you got a standard sidekick, butler, the Alex West character, it's stupid. The only thing I think that makes this movie not completely abysmal is Lara Croft / Angelina Jolie. She, like I said, plays it well. She's kind of interesting, not really though.
I think it was probably good casting, actually.
Yeah, it was very good casting.
So, yeah.
Particularly because of the breasts.
Yes.
That's what makes
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's what the casting director was looking at. So yeah, I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10.
What did you...
Same rating as The Room, actually.
What did you give 50 Shades?
2.
Yeah, okay, good. So we agree then. Alright, so I was going to put this, so first of all, the easiest bit, below Dunkirk, and slightly closer but still pretty easy, I do think better than 50 Shades. So, I mean, yeah, again, there's not really much of a issue with placing that. Quite an easy one to place.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why it's better than 50 Shades is probably, apart from anything else, because 50 Shades of Grey relies on you caring about these characters, whereas this film, you can just appreciate it for the stupidity it is.
Yeah,
And
you can just switch off and shovel popcorn in your mouth.
Yeah, it's
like you should.
It's like being dead for 90 minutes, except you're eating popcorn.
Yeah, that's a that's a good summary of this movie.
Yes.
They should put as the slogan, or they should have back in 2001. Yeah, I don't think this has aged very well. And I think the new Tomb Raider, I had a look at the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Actually, you know what, Michael, I'll have another look. You talk about something for a second.
Okay, so sometimes I think that maybe I should get my Lego and open it up and just build something, and then I think like, but then I gotta put it away. And also maybe I will get too close to my childhood, and then I will just fall into a pit of despair when I realise that all the innocence and just enjoyment for life I had back then, when all that mattered was Lego, is gone.
Okay, so Tomb Raider, the one in 2018, has got...
I want to know, is that the official title? Is it Tomb Raider?
It's just called Tomb Raider.
No, I thought it was Tomb Raider, the one in 2018.
The one in 2018.
This March, Tomb Raider, the one in 20... March is not a good month to be releasing films, I don't think.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, having said that, I didn't think February was, and then Black Panther breaking $1 billion.
Yeah,
so I guess maybe it's more down to movies.
I think it's more of a mid thing. Like, I feel like January... See, December you get a lot of good films, and I feel like it's spilled into January.
Perhaps.
But anyway, yeah, go.
So it's got 6 reviews so far on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's got a rating of 50%, so 3 positive reviews and 3 negative reviews. So there you go. I think this movie will probably have some of the same issues as this one, but it's more serious. Alicia Vikander, maybe, you know what, actually, Alicia Vikander, she may be going with the Angelina Jolie model of becoming like a very successful movie star. Because the thing is, she won an Oscar, didn't she, for Brooklyn, I believe.
Yeah.
That is right, yeah? I'm not mixing up with someone else.
Wait, you think of the main actress?
That's
Saoirse Ronan.
That's Saoirse Ronan. What did she? I swear she won an Oscar.
Alicia Vikander. To be honest, I've never heard of her in anything else. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, she's married to Michael Fassbender.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You sure do know your celebrity gossip.
Yes. Or I just looked at her Wikipedia page. No, I think she's going for the Angelina Jolie model, because I think obviously this movie. You know what? I think talking about the legacy of this movie, I think this was important for Angelina Jolie's sort of career.
Yeah. Well, having said that, what has Angelina Jolie been in that's good?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Like, I don't think that's... Like, I think the Beowulf film was kind of good, but... Like, I bet you're going to look that up and it's going to be like, it's got terrible ratings, but I don't know. I just, like, the thing is, like, Angelina Jolie, I know who she is, but, I mean, number one, I would actually struggle to name even that many of her films. And number two, I would struggle to name any of her films that are actually good. And yet I know her very well. Like,
well, it's because of the Brad Pitt thing.
Yeah, Brad Pitt stars in good films sometimes.
So Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out in 2005. Only 59% Rotten Tomatoes. So that's the thing. That's the movie that I think is the famous one, because she's with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
In it, and obviously had the Brangelina thing. But I think, to be honest, like Lara Croft started. So Angelina Jolie was known as the world's sexiest woman, I imagine, for a lot of the 2000s, and I think Lara Croft was the start of that. That propelled her into this sort of area in which she was this very attractive woman who was like one of Hollywood's leading stars. And obviously, the movie wasn't good, but I think we've got to acknowledge that it was good for her career.
Yeah, it was. Well done. And maybe good for Daniel Craig's career. Why not?
Maybe. And that's what I'm saying with Alicia Vikander.
And maybe good for
her.
Maybe good for Ian Glenn's career.
Yeah.
Maybe it was good for a lot of people's careers, except for... wait, what's the name of the director? It's not Alex West, is it? It's
Simon West.
Simon West.
Simon West. I'm gonna... Oh, he's known for Con Air.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, I'm looking after Lara Croft Tomb Raider. He only produced like 2 movies in the next 9 years. He started doing it again, but wasn't. Yeah, maybe Hollywood did actually react how I reacted and was like, okay, we can't get this guy to direct this movie again because that was awful.
Yes. And with that, on that bombshell, it's time to say goodbye.
Were you doing a Jeremy Clarkson thing then?
No. What, you mean racism? What, you mean sexism? Yeah, I was doing something.
Okay, go on. Well, he's very British, so it's in the theme of the movie.
Well, to be honest, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to say at the end, because you're the one who says what we are.
Oh yeah,
I don't really know if I have anything that I say at the end. I think the only thing I ever do is start talking and then realise I'm not actually supposed to be saying anything. So you say.
Okay.
Go on, Luke.
Alright, well, thanks for watching Select and Reflect. We've been selecting and reflecting on Lara Croft Tomb Raider 2001 because of the upcoming Tomb Raider movie. And thank you for watching. I've been Luke. And who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good. Bye.